He knows no fear. He knows no shame. He knows no foreign languages and absolutely no advanced math. He is the iron coach. The system came, the zombie apocalypse began, but he remained the iron coach. The iron coach, the iron coach. Yeah! The strong will rise, the weak will fall, many will be devoured, the system will consume them all, but him, he's still the iron coach.
The day the world went to hell in a handbasket, I was working as usual. I mean, what else is a 30-year-old guy in America supposed to do while trying to scrape together a down payment for a mortgage? I had a full-time teaching load at a public high school, ran taekwondo classes 3 nights a week for at-risk teens. Not that I'd mind teaching regular suburban kids, but in our part of town, they were an endangered species and pulled security shifts every other night at a local parking garage. You might ask, why the hell would I even bother with a mortgage if I'm never home? The answer's as predictable as it is dumb. I had Jessica in a grand life plan, the tiny room I crashed in at a shared apartment complex definitely wasn't part of that plan. Honestly, mortgages in this country are a joke. I'm 30. If I can manage to not get fired or killed for the next couple of years, I might scrape up enough for the down payment. Then it's 25 years of debt on a 2-bedroom in the outer suburbs. By the time I'd pay it off, I'd be just in time for retirement. Hell of a future, right? Back in the day, I got offered work in the criminal scene. If you were a kid growing up in Jersey or South Philly, someone made that offer eventually. I even dipped my toe in once, but pulled out just in time of the guys I started with. 2 are in prison, 3 are strung out, and the last few are probably feeding raccoons somewhere in the Pine Barrens. No one's really looking for them, and no one's really surprised. So there I was, 3rd period, teaching the freshman B group how to play basketball, when I heard it, the voice. I've talked to other people since then. Everyone heard something different. Some said it sounded mechanical, like a robot. Others said it was deep, echoey, terrifying. Some even claimed it was female and seductive, like Siri's evil twin. Me, I got a guy's voice, young, slightly smug.
Hear the voice of the higher intelligence. Pitiful mortals hear and tremble.
A new era has begun for your world. The era of personal ascension. Grow stronger or die divided. Be consume both. 1 in every 8 humans will become a zombie, driven by endless hunger. Will you stop the outbreak or burn in the fires of the zombie apocalypse? The game has begun. Oh, and if you're hearing this, congratulations, you're not a zombie. Good luck. Now look, if you hear voices in your head, that usually means something's wrong with you. But if the whole damn world hears the same voice in their heads, then something's wrong with the whole world. I didn't know which one it was, yet I just stood there frozen, trying to process when one of my students, Stacy, ran up to me. "Coach Davis, did you hear that?" she asked, pale as a ghost. "What?" "That voice, the one about zombies and stuff." "Yeah," I said, "I heard it." "That's some seriously messed up shit," I muttered. "It's probably a prank," said Zach, one of my students. "Yeah, probably," I replied. That's when Ryan, straight-A student, total overachiever, crept up behind him and bit into his shoulder. "Ah!" Zach screamed. I shouted something too, probably not printable. Ryan didn't look great, to put it mildly. His skin had gone gray, his fingernails and teeth were twice their usual size, and his eyes were glowing this sick, feverish red. His mouth was covered in blood. I really didn't want to touch him, so I kicked him in the side of the head hard. Problem was, he was clamped onto Zach so tight they both hit the floor, and Ryan kept biting. Zach stopped screaming and started making these pitiful, choking sounds. I looked around for something heavy, the whistle around my neck. Worthless, the basketball at my feet. Not happening. Then I spotted it, a barbell bar leaning against the wall with some other gym equipment. Perfect. 2 quick steps and I had it in my hands. 2 more and already imagining tomorrow's headlines. Insane New Jersey coach bludgeon students with weight bar. I cracked Ryan right on the head. He groaned and went still. Zach shoved him off and staggered upright. Barely. "You okay?" I asked. "Can you walk?" Zach responded, then lungs for my throat. Okay, sure, I'd always suspected some of my students were little monsters, but this was ridiculous. Had to give Zach the same treatment. The headlines just got more colorful. "Tell your parents they can skip tomorrow's meeting." I muttered, "Both of you." From both zombies, something strange dropped out. Small wooden boxes from inside them, that's right. From the zombies who were teenagers a few minutes ago. Each one coughed up a damn box. I mean, where the hell were they keeping those? Anatomically it made no sense. Not even the usual ew spots added up. Meanwhile, things in the gym were going downhill fast. Some students had escaped to the locker rooms, but the others, they cornered a group and were now happily eating them alive, smacking and slurping like it was a school pizza day. I tightened my grip on the weight bar, and then a message blinked in front of me. You can register the weapon weight bar into the system. Use a system registered weapons, earns XP for leveling up. Register weight bar as a system weapon. This choice is permanent. Yes, no. I grunted. The message was blocking my view. While I was staring at it, one of the C students, I think his name was Evan, had almost reached me, blood-soaked drool dripping off his face. There was a message over his head too. Hungry zombie level 1. I swept his legs, he hit the floor hard, but didn't make a sound, just kept crawling toward me. don't, I said. He crawled anyway, I backed up. He kept coming, that kind of dedication could have done wonders in gym class. That kind of persistence would have done wonders on the pull-up bar. Anyway, I swung the weight bar one more time. The message about the hungry zombie disappeared. Guess he'd had enough. He also coughed up a wooden box by the way. And even though I looked really closely, I still couldn't figure out exactly where it came from. Just to be safe, I picked up all 3 of the boxes. They instantly disappeared in my hands. I mean, literally dissolved into thin air the moment I touched them. Straight up freaky. But compared to everything else happening that didn't even register as weird, it was almost normal. I didn't waste time overthinking it. 5 more of my ex-students were now shambling toward me. Their intentions were exclusively culinary. So yeah, a bit of a conflict of interest there. They wanted to eat me. I very strongly did not want to be eaten. The message about the weight bar as a system weapon was still hanging in front of my face and starting to get annoying. I considered accepting it for a second, but then thought better of it. Sure, it was great right now, but using it as my permanent weapon, dumb idea, too bulky, too heavy, not exactly something you carry around casually. My arm would fall off after a day of swinging it. So I stared hard at the word no, it blinked and the message vanished just in time too, because the hungry 5 had closed the gap and were snapping their teeth like they were about to dig in. Luckily they were all level 1 hungry, sure, but slow and clumsy. I danced between them like a butterfly and struck like a pissed off butcher. 90 seconds later, it was over. I dropped the weight bar to the floor, wiped the sweat from my face and pulled out my phone. Of course, it wasn't working, no signal. The network was more jammed than Times Square on New Year's Eve. Bummer. I picked up more of the boxes because, hey, loot's loot, and they vanished just like the others. I figured I'd deal with that later. The rest of the school, total chaos, kids were screaming, running emergency sirens were wailing over the school intercom. The assistant principal was trying to calm everyone down, asking students to exit the building in an orderly fashion. Her voice had this rising edge of panic, like someone was about to bust down the door to the PA room. Not that I ever liked her anyway, seeing that nobody was trying to eat me at the moment. I slipped through the boys' locker room, empty, and made my way back to the coach's office. Yes, we gym teachers have our own little break room. Comes with its own, let's say, special atmosphere. Inside I found my colleague Sam. Sam was pushing 50, used to be a looker, ex-boxer, the works, but post-retirement he'd gone bald and soft around the middle. He was sitting in a chair, cleaning his fingernails with a hunting knife. You hear it? I asked. I heard it. He said, what do you think? I think classes are canceled for the day, he said flatly. What are you gonna do? Head home, knock back a couple shots of vodka, flip on Fox News and listen to someone tell me how things are even worse in Africa, he said. Then I'm heading out to my cabin in the woods, loading my shotgun, boarding the windows and knocking back a couple more solid solid plan. I said, what about you? I've got a girl, I said. Oh right, Sam nodded. She's the one working in the city, yeah. Yeah, I nodded. Forget her, Sam said. Too many people packed into the city. You ever watch The Walking Dead? Yeah, I said. Well, there you go. I'm going anyway. Good luck, he said flatly. You don't wanna come? Think I'll pass, he said. No offense, Mike, you're a solid dude. But if that voice was telling the truth, it's every man for himself now. Wow, you switched up quick. The door burst open with a loud crash, and a zombie sophomore stumbled in. Sam jumped up like he'd been stung, and in one clean practice motion, like he'd been training for this moment his whole life, shoved the hunting knife right in the kid's eye socket. The zombie dropped like a bag of bricks. Level 2, Sam said with quiet satisfaction, wiping the blade on the curtain. I looked at him differently after that. This was a guy who brought a hunting knife to work. He'd adapted, instantly registered the knife with the system. Whatever the hell that meant, and had already leveled up. If this system thing was sticking around, people like Sam were gonna be the ones in charge. So no, the new world probably wasn't gonna be much better than the old one. You sure you won't come with me? I asked one last time. No, Mike, he said. And you shouldn't go either. There are people out there, I said, they're dying. People always die, Sam said, can't save everybody. But we can try if this all ends somehow, if things go back to normal. How the hell are we supposed to live with ourselves if we didn't even try? You're missing the point, Mike, Sam said. I should have left already, but I couldn't let the conversation end like that. I needed to know what point he thought I was missing. Maybe this ends, maybe it doesn't. Sam said maybe the government gets control, maybe it doesn't. My money's on doesn't, and that, my friend, is the opportunity. Opportunity for what? I asked. To take what's ours, he said. Right, I muttered, good luck. Don't get yourself killed. I walked out of the gym with the iron bar still in my hands, bracing for the worst. But the worst apparently was still happening inside the building outside. The small parking lot in front of the school. Things were strangely quiet, no students in sight. Hopefully they'd all managed to escape. Only a couple of zombies wandered between the cars, my baby. A beat-up old black Ford was sitting in the second row. I gave it a solid kick near the rear bumper. There's a spot back there, a trick I'd learned over years of owning that car. And sure enough, the trunk popped open. I dropped the bar on the pavement and grabbed Clara. Now look, if you live in New Jersey, deal with people daily, and wanna keep your guy who doesn't take shit reputation, you gotta follow a certain code.
There are rules to follow if you live in Jersey. Deal with people regularly and wanna keep your rep as a straight up guy. Don't run your mouth, don't ditch a meetup. Keep a cop's hat on your rear dash, and always have a baseball bat in the trunk, even if you've only ever seen baseball on TV and don't have the slightest idea how it's actually played. Clara was a gift from the guys. Not a store-bought knockoff, but handmade, a one-of-a-kind piece carved at a local woodworking shop. Lightweight, insanely durable, fit in the hand like it was grown there. I'd held her plenty of times, but used her for real. And I'm not talking about hitting balls only once. She didn't let me down. I was counting on her not letting me down now either. She sat in my hand like always, perfect, but I didn't get any message from the system. Apparently I had to activate the weapon. I sighed and gave a quick whistle to the nearest zombie. It limped over like a drunk raccoon, and when it got close enough, I smacked it in the head with Clara, right on cue. System prompt. Sure, maybe I was jumping the gun. Maybe it'd be smarter to register something like an AR-15 as my system weapon later and rack up XP by the magazine. But I had a feeling I'd stumble across plenty of guns down the road, and not all of them will be worth a damn. Right now, I didn't have a gun. What I did have was a bat and a reason to level up. The system welcomed Clara like an old friend. She even got a minor upgrade, gained a little weight, and now came with her own stat card. Newbies Club, event aid 12, critical hit chance 10%, durability 97/100. Not amazing, but good enough for day one, to slow the spread of the outbreak, but mostly just to satisfy my curiosity. I caved in the skull of the last zombie shambling around the parking lot. The system gave me a bit of XP, a slim progress bar flashed in my vision. Looked like I needed to bash 5 more heads to reach the next level. Not a problem, I had a feeling there'd be no shortage of heads. I slid into the driver's seat, turned the ignition, and the system immediately offered to register my baby. As the mount said, she'd get bonus durability and improved travel speed. Didn't even hesitate, in the apocalypse you don't change horses or rides. The moment I accepted, a new message appeared. Find Jessica alive and bring her to a safe zone. Difficulty better. 1000 XP, a unique companion. The ability to establish a harem penalty on failure. Permanent guilt. I cursed out loud. The difficulty level was bad enough, but what really got me was the line about a unique companion. I mean, that sounds permanent, right? Yeah, I'd been planning to propose to Jessica anyway, but on my own terms as my decision, not because some cosmic game master dangled her like a reward for a damn side quest.
But for a split second, my entire future, life flashed before my eyes. No mortgage, just endless grinding. No students, just unending hordes of zombies, and a unique companion waiting for me in my personal mount, along with some debuff-ridden perks for a potential harem. And honestly, I was this close to stepping out of the car, leaving Clara on the passenger seat where she lay now, and offering my neck to the nearest zombie. At least this situation made sense. Chapter 2. The hopeless mood didn't last long, like my late father used to say. If someone's handing it out, take it, but ask the price. If someone's throwing punches, grab a brick and swing back, and don't bother counting how many of them there are. My dad wasn't the nicest guy around, but for now, the math was on our side. If 1 out of every 8 people turned into a zombie, and the global population was around 8 billion, we were looking at roughly 1 billion zombies. That's like half of China, we could take them.
Throw baseball caps at them, chuck sunflower seeds, no big deal, except time was against us. If every person bitten by a zombie turned into one, then their numbers would grow exponentially, that is, unless people started cracking skulls early and often. What worried me more was something else. Based on the floating labels I'd seen, zombies could level up too. The last thing I wanted was to run into some super hungry ultra zombie level 80. I started the engine and rolled off the school parking lot. By habit I flicked on the radio and spun the tuning dial. Half the stations were pure static, the other half were playing Swan Lake. But one station, something like Outlaw FM, came through crystal clear. Just a reminder, folks, it's Thursday, it's sunny out. It looks like the zombie apocalypse has kicked off in the capital, so screw the slow jams. Let's blast some rock in this hellhole. The announcer's voice gave way to a classic from the Scorpions as I pulled out of the side streets and onto a main road. That's when I saw a guy standing on the curb about my age, wearing glasses. As soon as he spotted my car, he started waving his arms like crazy. I slowed down. Hey, can you give me a lift to the subway, he asked. $100, I said automatically. Fair enough, he replied. I slid Clara into the back seat, and the guy hopped in next to me. We pulled off, the streets were quiet. But then again, midday in our neighborhood was always slow. Things didn't get lively until evening. You think this is gonna last? He asked. No idea, I said. No idea, I said. Might be permanent. He sighed. Where you headed, he asked. New York. More specific. Downtown. Damn, he said with another sigh. I need to get northwest, thought maybe we could ride together. I'm kind of on a quest, I said, so am I. What's yours? He closed his eyes, probably pulling up his internal system interface, or maybe just resting his eyes. Phoebe Bagheera, that's my mother-in-law's cat. She went on vacation to Turkey and we promised to look after. I can't stand that little beast. Yeah, I get it, I said. Philosophic, what about the cat? He blinked at me confused. I'm talking about the cat, he said. What did you think I meant? Never mind, I said, bad joke. What's the quest difficulty? Beginner. Rewards, 100 XP, possible pet unlocked. Penalties, yeah, permanent reputation loss. I hit the brakes and pulled over. Problem? He asked. Get out. But we had a deal, he said. If it's about the money, I can pay, look. He fumbled in his pockets and pulled out a crumpled $100 bill. Are you stupid? I asked. What? I mean, where the hell do you think you're going? Do you even know what's happening out there? It's a full-blown zombie outbreak. They're eating people, literally, and I guarantee they're doing it on the subway, too. How exactly were you planning to get to your cat? I don't know. You don't even have a weapon. I said, what are you gonna fight him off with, huh? I'd find something. You absolute dumbass. But I have a quest. And do you have a brain? I snapped. So you failed a quest, big deal? You get a lifetime rep to buff, who cares? You think your mother-in-law's coming back from Turkey anytime soon? You think the world's gone to shit here, but it's fine over there? She's probably already grunting and chewing on some poor beachside fitness instructor. But you have a quest too, he said. Yeah, mine's to save my woman. I told him, my woman, I'm willing to risk my damn life for that. You're out here risking yours over a goddamn cat. Where's your wife? At home. Then go home, moron, lock the door, hug your wife. And don't do anything else. He processed that for a second. I could actually see the wrinkles forming on his forehead. Then they smoothed out and he made his decision. Yeah, he said, yeah, you're right, thanks. Don't mention it, I said, good luck.
He got out, I shut the door behind him and moved Clara back to the front seat. Having her nearby made me feel safer, but the guy gave me an idea. Traveling with someone will make this less miserable. All I had to do now was find someone who wouldn't slow me down. 5 minutes later, I pulled up in front of a local auto shop. Big business had been trying to crush places like this for years. The dealerships wanted everyone tied to their financing. The bank squeezed harder every year, trying to make sure.
Whoa, whoa, only the owners of beat-up old cars and old school gearheads still brought their rides here. They couldn't exactly keep the lights on with big profits, for obvious reasons. I did most of the work on my baby myself anyway, outside of body work and paint, replacing a busted CV joint, swapping out an alternator rotor. That was just Tuesday. But today I was here for a different reason. My buddy worked here. The garage, auto shop, was open next to the bay doors with 2 rusty junkers on cinder blocks and 1 on a jack. Also not typically part of the decor, 2 dead bodies. One looked zombie-ish but relatively intact. The other zombie-ish but seriously gnawed on. Someone had taken a chunk out of his thigh. Looked like the poster for a healthy zombie versus smoker zombie PSA. Both had crushed skulls for what it's worth, but none of the heads belonged to Danny, which meant maybe I hadn't come for nothing. I grabbed Clara and stepped out of the car. It was too quiet, the only sound was the crunch of gravel under my sneakers. Danny, I called out. A raspy growl echoed from inside the shop. Looked like Danny hadn't gotten lucky, or maybe he had, considering he hadn't taken a bar to the brain like those 2 out front. That was something I could help fix. I gripped Clara tighter and headed toward the open garage doors, just as a figure in a greasy coverall stepped out of the shadows. Brains, it growled. Zombies hadn't been talking before. Maybe I'd never given them the chance, or maybe this was a new breed. I raised the bat, ready to swing. Whoa, whoa, easy, General Patton. The figure said, jumping back, "You trying to kill me or what? Jesus, you idiot." I said, "Lowering Clara, you realize you were this close to a concussion? Life without risk is like food without salt." Danny said with a shrug, and these guys, I nodded toward the corpses, happy customers. One was a client, the other rented the garage next door. And who did the honors? Me with a tire iron. Where the hell were you when they started snacking on each other in the pit? Danny said, "Swapping out a muffler on a Subaru. A muffler on a Subaru beats me. Customer's request, that's him, by the way. Guess you're not getting paid." Yeah, I'm starting to think that's the least of my problems. Fair, I admit it. "So what brings you here?" he asked. "Car trouble, carburetor refusing to suck, flywheel fighting gravity." That joke was ancient when I was in kindergarten. I said, "I came for you, thought maybe we could take a little ride." Now you're talking. Danny said, "Where we headed?" "New York, gotta find Jessica." "New York," he repeated. "The one and only, the same New York where millions of zombies are eating both locals and out-of-towners." Yep, Jessica, the one who works in a downtown high-rise with hundreds of unarmed co-workers still. Yep, I'm in. He said, "Just let me grab my..." I'm gonna wash up and change. Danny said, "Go for it." I told him while he was off cleaning up. I gave the 2 zombie corpses another look. Yep, they had loot boxes too. Just hadn't noticed them at first. They were tucked under the bodies weirdly. I didn't pick up someone else's loot. Figured I'd wait. A
minute later, Danny emerged from the back of the shop, now in jeans and a plaid shirt with a machete on his belt and the same tire iron in hand. He walked toward the car, clearly planning to hop in. "You're not gonna lock the place up?" I asked. "What's the point anymore?" He shrugged. "Fair enough." As we were rolling out of the lot, the security guard limped out from behind his little shack, gray skin, glowing eyes, full on walker mode. "Pull over a sec," Danny said. "Why?" "Why?" I asked where we're going. "There'll be plenty of that." "That's McCulloch," he says. "So he broke my arm in 5th grade." "You're a vengeful bastard, Danny." I said, "Is that really the behavior of a civilized man?" "Well, what the hell did he expect?" Fair point, I didn't argue, I hit the brakes. While Danny settled old scores, I twisted the tuning knob on the radio again. Nothing new, just more static. Tchaikovsky and that one rogue station blasting classic rock to the sound of due haste. We finally rode out of Jersey's and on a Route 27 zombie apocalypse. And night traffic was still a thing. It was like nothing had changed. A sea of angry drivers stuck in their cars, bored, annoyed, honking. Every now and then a lone zombie wandered between lanes, and some random good Samaritan will get out and bash his head in with a tire iron, crowbar, whatever. At this rate, drivers might be the last survivors. "How do we even know she's still alive?" Danny asked, pulling out a pack of cigarettes.
"Smoke outside," I said.
"Your window doesn't roll down." "Open the door, we're crawling along anyway."
He cracked it, lit up.
"So yeah, back to my question. What makes you think she's still alive?" "I got a quest for her," I said, "and it's still active. Not marked as failed, which means it's still possible to complete. At least that's how I see it."
A quest.
"You ever play RPGs?"
Like when she dresses up like a nurse, tells me she's been naughty and begs me to spank her.
"No other RPGs," I said, "like, you're the chosen one, gotta save the world from some unspeakable evil, and every random farmer wants you to fetch him a wolf pelt or kill a rat in his basement."
"Nah, not my thing," he said. "I'm more of a tank guy
"That says a lot about your limited worldview," I said.
that leads tanks actually exist."
"So do zombies, apparently," I replied, "and we share reality with them now anyway. Hasn't the system offered you any quest?"
"No," Danny said.
"No," Danny said.
Someone mumbled something about zombie and the game starting. Danny said, but I was under the car replacing the muffler, so I didn't really catch it. Then I climbed out and bam, one guy's eating the other and licking his lips. They didn't prompt you to register that crowbar as a system weapon. I think they did, he said, but I didn't really get what for. You bonehead, I said, if it's still possible, do it now. How? If I knew, I'd tell you. He finished his cigarette and shut the door. We crept another 20 yards forward. Subway would have been faster, he muttered. I doubt that, I said. We inched under the Ringway 3 overpass, and things actually sped up a bit. I even got to second gear a couple times. Okay, he said, let's say we find your Jessica. Then what? We get the hell out of the city. Where to, he asked. Some charming family farm, or maybe we clear out a prison full of zombified inmates and crash in the cell. I haven't planned that far ahead, I admitted. Well, maybe it's time to start. Not like we got anything better to do. That'd be a solid plan if this were a normal zombie apocalypse.
cops, I said, but this isn't normal. We've got some freaky system going on. We need to understand it first. So start figuring it out. I'm driving, fine, I'll try. He said, then shut his eyes. I don't see anything. Obviously you closed your eyes. No, I mean even with them open, nothing shows up. If this is like a game, shouldn't there be some kind of interface? Try a voice command, sit, fetch, attack. Nothing. You're a moron and I hate myself for bringing you. Kid, and he grinned, interface, well, nothing. Try status, he barks, status, goddamn it, oh. What is it, I asked, already bracing for something dumb. Got it, stats panel, just open strength. 10 agility, 8 intelligence, let's not say no need, I said. I'm guessing number 3. You're a real piece of work, coach. Find something useful. Started digging through menus while we crawled toward Tuginski Square. Traffic lights were dead, the usual chaos there had mutated into full-on infernal gridlock. Google Maps would have rated it 18 out of 10 if the servers weren't probably on fire. Crossing the garden ring took us almost an hour. My stamina went up by 1, Danny announced. Downtown was quieter. Pretty much anyone with a working vehicle had already bailed. Smart move. I didn't even want to imagine what the outbound highways would look like once we were trying to leave. Jessica's office was in one of those historic districts, all winding alleys and crooked one-ways, where even the devil would need GPS. Thankfully I remembered the area pretty well. Only made 3 wrong turns and 1 illegal one. To be fair, zombie apocalypse had its perks. Parking was sudden. Parking was a breeze for once. Spots that you couldn't find here even on Christmas morning were now wide open. I parked my baby right in front of the building entrance, something I'd never managed before. And out of habit draped a dirty rag from the trunk over my rear license plate. We're going in, Danny asked. Hang on, I said. From a nearby alley came the sound of many feet running, and that signature zombie wailing. We ducked behind the car, bracing ourselves for a fight, but instead of lunges and claws, what we saw was bizarre. A guy in a full motorcycle suit dashed past us, hauling a 20-pound weight plate under one arm like it was his baby. Hot on his heels was a horde of zombies, full on sprint mode. Even weirder, one of them was holding a baton, not just any baton, a wooden one, shaped like a cop's nightstick. I had so many questions. What was that zombie planning to do with it if they caught the guy? Did zombies now use weapons? Was that some new class combat zombie? Or was it just a weird kid of the undead crowd? Either way, they were too busy chasing their cardio target to notice us crouched behind a car. Only in New York, I muttered, he could have run faster if he dropped the plate. Danny noted, maybe he has a plan. I said, maybe it's sentimental.
Could be, Danny said, casually flipping his crowbar in his hand. And with that, we walked into the building.
The sound came again. I'll go check it out, I said. We'll go together. We peeked out onto the landing and saw a woman slowly making her way up the stairs. She must have been around 45 in life, but she sure wasn't aging like wine. Gray skin, glowing eyes, long nails and teeth, dragging her right leg with every step. The moment she saw us, she raised her hands and croaked something that sounded like report. Danny squinted. Off his zombie, level 2, he read aloud. Definitely a bookkeeper, I've only dealt with level 1 so far. I said, same. Danny nodded. Looks like she leveled up off company snacks, I hate accounting. So soon as she stepped onto the landing, I took one stride forward, raised Clara and brought her down on the zombie skull. It cracked like a rotten melon, her legs buckled and she tumbled back down the stairs. By the way, if we're sticking with that trendy feminist language thing, how do you even gender a female zombie? Probably in English.
Zombie, eh? She's zombie, Zombella.
Anyway,
Congratulations, you reached level 2. The system informed me.
you have 5 stat points and 1 skill point available. Your next skill point will unlock at level 5.
Seemed like it gave more XP this time. Maybe the level gap had something to do with it.
I decided to sort out the stats later and blinked the message away, it vanished. Level 2, I told Danny.
Grats, he said, heads up. More in common.
Sure enough, 2 more zombies turned the corner below us. Male this time, younger than the last one, but also level 2s. They were grown in the same word, report.
Accounting department.
Danny said the root of all evil.
Can't argue with that.
We split targets and held a high ground. When they got close enough, we attacked. I dropped mine in 1 clean hit. Danny took 2, told him he should work out more. Danny hit level 2, I didn't get level 3. Of course, that would have been too easy.
Let's find out where they're from, I said.
And what if there's 100 of them then?
Look at the building, I pointed out. It's an old 3-story merchant mansion.
No way hundreds fit in here.
Yeah, well, you never know.
We started down the next flight, and that's when 7 zombies came pouring up at us. The spawn rate was clearly ramping up. I shoved Danny aside, cracked 2 skulls in quick succession and kicked the 3rd right in the chest. He tumbled back down the stairs, bowling over the rest like domino strike. I muttered while they were struggling to stand. We walked over and finished the job. System message, I hit level 3.
This is still feeling way too easy.
I said, well, it ain't advanced calculus. Danny shrugged.
Smash the head, job done.
Can't be that simple, I said, well, it ain't advanced calculus. Danny shrugged, smashed the head.
Job done.
Can't be that simple, I said. Can't be that simple, I said. Ooh.
Like what? Danny asked. No idea. We grabbed the loot, turns out not every zombie drops a box, maybe every second one. Anyway, we headed down to the 2nd floor, obvious where the rest were coming from. 1st floor was clean, 2nd was infested. Here's the plan. I said we go in together, stick close, kill everything, questions. Yeah, can we get real food after? Sure. I said assuming you don't lose your appetite. I always get hungry after a fight. Danny said it's a nerves thing. I kicked open the door and came face to face with yet another upright corpse. But I was ready, Clara was ready. Together we made the dead guy horizontal. The 2nd floor was a nightmare. Aside from the open office, there was a large conference room, and it wasn't filled with hundreds of zombies. Thankfully, just a few dozen, and every single one of them rushed us. Plan change, I shouted, fall back.
retreated step by step, laying down bodies as we went. Clara hit true, Danny's no-name crowbar wasn't far behind. By the time we reached the landing between the second and third floors, we'd have to wait. Bit by bit, we fought them off up the stairs, until only a few remained. By the end, I hit level 6 and got a new skill point. Danny reached level 4. For some reason, he was leveling slower. Once the wave was done, we went back down to mop up any stragglers. Only 4 were left in the open space. I let Danny finish them off to help him catch up in XP. I stood back watching his 6. Then we stepped into the conference room and finally understood why the zombies had gathered here. Judging by the posters on the walls, this had been a scheduled briefing on evacuation protocols and workplace safety. That's when the system hit. Oh, the irony, but not the fun kind. When the cleanup was done, we were covered in blood and whatever else passes for fluids in undead biology. I made an executive decision. We needed to wash up, and that's when we found Marina. It was her, no doubt. No shoes, hair a mess, definitely a zombie. When I opened the bathroom door, she turned toward me and she wasn't coming in for a hug. I shut the door. A few seconds later, her claw-tipped nail scraped on the other side. Chips, shellac, and all. Well, this sucks, I muttered. Yeah, we're screwed. Danny agreed, so what do? We do what we have to. I said, but I'm not doing it. You do it, please. Got it. Danny nodded. I opened the door. He did what had to be done. Quest failed, rescue your woman. You've received the debuff, lingering guilt. All attributes reduced by 155%. Honestly, what a dick move. In a fog of disappointment, I found another bathroom and cleaned myself up. Blood, guts, gone, but I couldn't wash off the mood.